Hey guys, and this is a talk with me about my CFS, which if you guys do not already know, I have ME/CFS. ME stands for a scientific word that I do not know, so I'm just going to clip it down here, but CFS stands for chronic fatigue syndrome. And I guess I'm just going to go into like a deep dive of kind of like how I got diagnosed for starters, and also I guess like my symptoms and like how it just affects my every single day life. And this is a really vulnerable video for me to create because I've not really spoken about this. This isn't something that I've actively wanted to share with everybody, but I feel like it also explains my absences sometimes when I'm filming YouTube videos. Like, sometimes I don't post on proper schedule. Sometimes I do have other things like in my life that I actually have to do more for, and YouTube is kind of on a back burner, but this is, I guess, a deep dive into my chronic fatigue, so I think we should actually just get on with the video starting now. So I just moved my whole entire desk. So this is kind of how I got into being referred to chronic fatigue syndrome. Effectively, it all started around like December last year, and I ended up having to go to the doctors because I had an ambulance nearly called on me like 3 times in one night from literal just exhaustion of my entire body. I had been doing like 9 to 5s every single day of the week, and I just got so exhausted. It got to Thursday and I had had like little to no rest, and my legs were feeling like tingly, numb, could hardly feel them, couldn't properly stand up. I was literally shaking like this. My hands were going and like having hand tremors. That was just from pure exhaustion, but I didn't know that at the time. So I first decided to go to the hospital on the Thursday, and then they told me to call 111, so I called 111, and I was like, hey, what's up, you know? So I was calling 111, and they were like, oh, you need an ambulance. And I was like, I'm literally at the hospital right now. And they were like, no, you still need an ambulance. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Genuinely, it baffles me. So I was like, well, F this shit, I am literally gonna go home. So I decide to travel home, and then I get more symptoms. So I'm calling them up again, and I'm like, I've got more symptoms now. And then they were like, you need an ambulance, yada, yada, yada. Then I call them up again because I get more symptoms, and they're like, you need an ambulance, yada, yada, yada. I keep on saying, like, I don't want an ambulance because I don't want to be that person in my first year accommodation to have an ambulance called up, brought to their flat, and brought to their room to be escorted out by an ambulance. I just didn't want to be that person. So I kept on putting it off, and they kept on referring me to different doctors, and the doctors were like, you need this, you need this, you need to be referred to get a blood test, you need to be referred for this, for your actual GP. So I was like, okay, it sounds like it's going to work out. And then I get more symptoms, and I'm like calling them up, and I'm like, I've got more symptoms. And then it got to the third ring, and they were like, oh yeah, no, you need an ambulance again. And I was like, okay, how long is the wait? 8 hours. 8 hours. 8-hour wait for an ambulance. I was like, that my mum can get to me in a shorter amount of time, and she can take me up to the hospital closest to us, which, by the way, like, wait times, you will be seen. You will be seen. Here where I'm at uni, you won't be seen. You won't be seen. I've never had to deal with like something this bad and terrible before with the NHS or just like hospitals in general. I've never had that really rough experience of never being seen. Like, it was so crowded, you could not get in. So I was like, no, that's fine. So my mum came and picked me up the next day, and we didn't end up going to the hospital. I felt better, but I was still like, what is wrong with me? So I go to my GP. This is like a few months later. I've had like a whole issue with enrolling to different GPs because I enrolled to one down here, couldn't even see a doctor, couldn't even book a doctor's appointment. So then I had to go back home and go to my normal GP, and I got re-referred, and then I had to contact my GP and speak to them. I got a blood test done, and my bloods came back normal, literally perfectly fine. Then I had to wear a heart monitor on my chest. I actually did get an allergic reaction to this, so I could only wear it for 2 days out of the 3. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, I ended up taking it off, and it was just like a red swollen circle on my chest from where it was. Not good. I also did like a heart monitor test when I was actually at the doctor's. Just an overall not great process. But after finding out that my heart didn't have any issues and that wasn't related in any way, my doctor was like, it sounds like you have chronic fatigue syndrome. I was like, does it? So then I get referred to the chronic fatigue services center, and that's when I got told that I was definitely diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's in fact classed as a disability under the Equality Act of 2010. So, yippee, I'm disabled. I still don't really know how to come to terms with it. It's just like one of those things, I guess. This is now my life, and I have to manage every single day as it comes. So when I actually ended up speaking to the chronic fatigue service center people, they think that chronic fatigue actually does have a reason as to why people get it. Like, it's not just something that occurs randomly and everybody can get it. It's just, it can, and it does, but when they did a study on like 100 people or something, so many people remembered being really ill, like flu or just like any type of like really terrible illness, and going through a really stressful period. So for me, if you haven't already seen this YouTube video, I have a uni story from hell YouTube video clipped somewhere. I'll try and like, it'll be in the description. I'll put it in the description. I went through a really stressful time at uni, and it's all explained in there, and I had to move accommodations. That's effectively what I had to do. But it was a really stressful period. I was just being like blanked by these girls, and it was horrible. It was toxic. It was not nice, not a nice environment. And I ended up getting probably, I guess, freshers flu from university. So it is like a type of flu, and I was definitely congested in like my nostrils, everything. I was just like, I was ill, and I was going through this really stressful time. Not only is it my first time dealing with such a toxic environment, it's also my first time leaving home, living on my own, having to fend for myself, having to cook for myself, having to organize my day without having my parents there for like emotional support. I had nothing at uni, and that's a stressful time. Then you get the freshers flu, then you have the toxic environment. It all comes together, and therefore that's how I think that my chronic fatigue started or came about, because that's around the same time that I got like, I started having symptoms. I started sleeping a lot more. It's just one of those things. So on with the symptoms, I guess, which I mean, this is kind of what I just live with every single day. So I've actually got a list of the symptoms up on my laptop, because it's got to the point now where I'm so used to it that I can hardly recognize what's chronic fatigue and what's normal. So obviously the main one is like extreme fatigue. Obviously that means like you're falling asleep a lot more, you feel constantly tired. If you think of it like a battery, you've got like 100% and then you've got 0%. And if somebody who like you, or like a normal person, I mean, I'm hoping that some people with CFS actually are watching. If you don't have any like diagnosis, you won't have this like whole battery level pack. You will just like, it would be like 0 when you're going to bed, and then it would be like 100% the next day when you wake up. For somebody with a disability like chronic fatigue syndrome, it's more like if I wake up after a really long day, or like I wake up the next day, I will still probably be anywhere between like 5 and 60, maybe 80%. Like I will probably never reach an 100% mark for like normality. And when it comes down to like socializing or doing our everyday tasks, like carrying out every single day tasks, my battery will go quicker. Like it will drain quicker than a normal person doing those tasks. So that's kind of where like extreme fatigue comes in. It really does limit you. it's just persistent and overwhelming tiredness, man. It's just it makes daily activities really, really difficult. But we also get this thing called post-exertional malaise, which I guess you could just put as PEM. Is I'm literally just like, so it's a significant worsening of symptoms after physical or mental exertion, which can last for days or weeks. So let's say I decide, oh, you know what, I'm gonna hike up this mountain, which I did, by the way. By the way, I did this in like, when did we go up a mountain together? January. So we went up a mountain together in January. I didn't know I had chronic fatigue at the time. I mean, my doctor kind of told me that I probably do. So I was just going under the like, oh yeah, no, I probably have chronic fatigue. But I didn't realize it was a disability, going through the motions. But effectively, I went up this mountain, hiked it, and when we got to the tippity top and go all the way back down again, I was feeling relatively fine. We had to stop off quite a lot for me to rest and effectively pace my way up there. Basic stuff. But then we get back down, and I kid you not, I was asleep for a week. A week. I genuinely cannot think of a time where I have been more tired than that. Like, that week completely drained. Like, that one exercise completely drained me for the entire week. I was just gone. I was just gone. So yeah, it's just one of those things, like, you don't exactly know when it's going to hit you. Post-exertional malaise, like, you could be pacing your day so well and you could think, oh, I'm gonna be so good tomorrow because I've done so well today. You wake up the next day and that is when it hits you like a brick, and then you're like, oh, I definitely overworked myself. And I guess this is just like one of those things that we do have to just learn to deal with and realize that maybe we're not capable of doing that marathon like other people can. Maybe not. Maybe it's time to take a step back and we focus on pacing and other things that we get told to do by fatigue center services. But alongside that, we also get sleep problems. It's really ironic that with chronic fatigue syndrome, which by the way makes you sleep a ton. It makes you sleep a ton. You can not only wake up feeling unrefreshed, but you can also like try and sleep and you just can't. Another thing is like sleep reversal, and I'm pretty sure that that's effectively, I saw this online and I was like, my sleep schedule is absolutely screwed. I could go to bed at 4 a.m. and have to wake up at 1. I could go to bed at like 2 and still wake up at 1. I struggle in the mornings just from this. And then I read up online, which was sent to me by my doctor. She sent me a website and she effectively, I read this and I was like, oh, sleep reversal. I do have that. It's literally where your day is flipped. You go to bed at 4 and you wake up at like 1, and then sleep reversal. So that's like another thing. But you can also experience insomnia or other sleep disturbances, like just waking up randomly throughout the night. So it's not great. It's just not great. Because obviously sleep disturbances will probably make the chronic fatigue syndrome worse in terms of extreme fatigue. It impacts you. But also you get cognitive difficulties, and there's this thing that's referred to as like brain fog, which is effectively, it can take you longer to find words, it can take you longer with thinking, memory, and just general concentration. And when it actually comes down to it, I think one of the things I struggle with most is literally thinking. If somebody says something to me, it takes me a lot longer than a normal person would to actually understand what they're saying or understand what the joke is. I think a great example of this is on my boyfriend's YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description down below as well, because if you scroll along to a certain point in the video, I think it's question number 15, he makes a joke which has kind of been running on throughout that video, and there's a loading thing above my head, which is literally how I have to go about every single day life. I've just always got a little loading screen, constantly loading in, and I'm just always delayed. So I think that's kind of like the best way to put that. But you also get a lot of other common symptoms, and I will kind of semi-dive into the ones that you can get, which I don't have, but you've got pain, like muscle aches and joint pain without like swelling or redness, and that I only ever get when I am like so exhausted after like, it's when my PEM kicks in, right? That's when I get that, but that rarely happens. But you can get like headaches. I again don't get that, but sore throats, like a frequent and persistent or persistent sore throat, I do get that. It's like just getting like cold symptoms randomly, and you're like, why am I ill? How am I ill? Nobody else around me is ill, but I'm ill. You can get like tender lymph nodes, in the neck or armpits, which is interesting. I mean, I'm not sure I've experienced that. I don't even know what a lymph node is. Maybe I should do my research. But you can also get dizziness and lightheadedness. And that was another one of my big signs and symptoms that I was dealing with when I was getting my diagnosis, because I actually had a fainting spell, which really worried me and all of the people that I was living with last year. And I would get dizzy and I'd have to ask for help when doing things. Like even lifting up my mattress sometimes on a bad day was just too much for me. And that's kind of insane to say because it's a mattress. I could have lifted that with one arm back in the day when I was fit and healthy. And even now I could at least pick it up. Like right now I could probably do it. But on a really, really bad day, I just can't. And that's kind of like my life, I guess. But the dizziness usually happens when standing, like when you decide to stand up from sitting down. It's not like a usual like feeling always like that. But back then in December last year, 100% was like nearly all the time. Anyway, you can also get digestive issues. I do not have any issues with that, but like other people might do. You do get other sensitivities like sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, food, or chemicals. I think I get it with sound and light. Not always light, but mainly sound. Like if it's like really, really busy in like a place that I'm at, and there's like a lot of like noise in the background, I find it really hard to concentrate, and it instantly drains my energy, like a lot more than it would normally for a normal person. So that's just like another thing. But when it comes to another symptom, you get flu-like symptoms. Yippee, 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 yippee. Such as like a low-grade fever, chills, or a general feeling of being unwell, and I get that a lot. I definitely had that a lot more this week. I was feeling very unwell practically all week. And I think that was mainly because I was also on antibiotics, which could enhance that feeling of being unwell. I was told that they were probably going to make me feel a little bit nauseous, and boy did I feel nauseous, but boy did I also feel unwell. The antibiotics is completely unrelated to my chronic fatigue, by the way, but obviously medications can, I guess, jumpstart some of the symptoms as well, which is interesting. Love it, guys. I love it. So I guess when it comes down to actually dealing with all of these symptoms, which I guess I want to kind of put it out there that I have absolutely no idea how to deal with this myself yet, but I am trying my very hardest. One of the things is like pacing, and it's said to you all the time if you have any, what am I trying to find the word for? One of the big things is literally just pacing, and when it actually comes down to people with any type of chronic illness, pacing is a big one that's always said to you, and I mean, it's kind of in the word itself. You effectively just need to slow down your day and kind of limit what you do in order to keep your week as productive as possible. Now, what happens with a lot of people with chronic illnesses is they tend to, at the start, continue on a good day to do everything and everything possible because they feel like this is a good day, this is a chance. If you live your life like that and you continue down that road, the next day is going to be a bad day, and then you're going to go through that cycle of it being it's not really benefiting you. It's not great. So pacing yourself and like setting out like, oh, you've got a list of 15 things to do this week. Make it 3. Literally make it 3. Or like 15 things to do this day, make it 3. And then like pass it on to the next day. Like literally just keep on doing that, because if you keep on doing too much, you're gonna burn yourself out, and then you're gonna have PEM, and you're gonna be feeling overly exhausted, and you're just gonna end up not being able to do anything for the rest of the week, which I definitely struggled with at the start. Once I learned about pacing, it's probably gotten a little bit better. I'm nowhere near where I need to be, but fingers crossed I do get that, because it's just one of those things that I really want to be able to live like a relatively normal life. And I know it's said like a lot that, you know, people with disabilities can't live a normal life. You definitely can. You definitely can live a normal and sustainable life. It's just finding the way to do it for you, because what works for everybody else will not work for a person with a disability, and what works for one person with the same disability as you might not work for you. You need to find your way of doing it to be able to say, oh yeah, no, I'm living a great and fulfillable life. Another thing in terms of like actually, I just put myself off of the screen there. Another thing in terms of like actually living with chronic fatigue, one of the things that I'm getting used to, and one of the things that was definitely mentioned to me, is about posture. It's insane how much posture can actually drain your energy, and also what posture would be good and keep your energy kind of staying where it is, staying comfortable, staying breezy. One of the big things with chronic fatigue is that realistically you should be sitting at a 90-degree angle, i.e. your knees at a 90-degree angle, your arms at a 90-degree angle. When you're literally sat down looking at your laptop, everything should be at a 90-degree angle. And that's something that I really struggle with. I'm literally sat down crossing my legs right now. I could be putting my knee up here. Like, I sit not like I should. And it probably does drain my energy a little bit more, but it's not something that I'm really looking to fix, because this is how I feel comfortable. When I sit at a 90-degree angle for every joint in my body, I just feel off and I don't feel comfortable, and I give myself a bit of backache, which probably is not benefiting my chronic fatigue either, so I'm just not going to deal with that problem. But it is what has been recommended to me. But a lot of other things is just having a balanced and healthy diet. That can really change a lot. It's one of those things where what you eat is your fuel. Your fuel is what you eat. So if you're just like having, I don't know, a sandwich every day and that's it, that's all you eat, you're not going to be energized. And somebody with chronic fatigue has to eat probably a lot more healthy and balanced meals than somebody without, because with chronic fatigue, back when I was in December, I was living on my own for the first time. I had no idea how to properly cook like a full-on roast dinner, for example. So I didn't really get all of the necessary things for my diet to be balanced and be healthy. And the best thing you can do for yourself is probably just look at cooking videos on YouTube. There's so many channels that you can just look up, and they'll literally just have like a whole meal plan, how you make it, a recipe and all, and just plan out your meals. Even make it so that you make yourself a meal and then you prepare it for the next day. That's like really helped me, preparing my meals, because if I'm having a really bad chronic fatigue day, bam, I've already got a meal in the fridge that I just need to heat up in the microwave for 2.5 minutes. Simple stuff, guys, simple stuff. I don't really want to talk about all the things that you can do to sustain your chronic fatigue because I'm still learning how to do all of this, but those are just like 2 tips, I guess, that were recommended to me that I'm still trying out. I do want to quickly mention though, I did get a mindfulness moments book, and this is actually really helpful because struggling to come to terms with chronic fatigue and just being mindful and honest about it in just a little journal, and it also tells you to like do things like go on a solo walk and draw and think about like what you're thinking about that day. This, I'm not gonna lie, has been helpful. I recommend. Literally got it from Tesco, cheap, love it, and I have been using it, so I think that's pretty good. I recommend for people with chronic illnesses, if you want to get your thoughts out, literally just get one of those because it's really good. It's helped me kind of pace, and I've also kept track of my progress, which is great as well. But to kind of delve into how it kind of affects other people, my chronic illness, I like to think affects people a lot more than they say it affects them. And I think that's a lot to do with my own insecurity of it, rather than the actualities and factual information on it, because realistically, the only way that you are impacting other people when you have chronic fatigue is by saying no. There are some days where I physically cannot do anything and I do have to turn down plans or say, hey, can we arrange for another day or this or that. And I hate doing it because I like to be a people pleaser. I like to actually stick to my plans and stick to my schedule. But there are just some days where I can't do that. And I feel like some people don't get it and some people really do get it. But I sometimes feel like I am putting a lot of stress and strain on Owen in our relationship because I feel like my disability is making him stop doing what he wants to do. And he can reassure me as much as he wants to that I am still doing what I want to do in this relationship. Like, at the end of the day, it's my life. I can make my own decisions, yada, yada, yada. He can reassure me. He can keep reassuring me. But I will always be in the back of my mind, like, if I wasn't the one wanting to stay home right now and just rest, would you be going out doing something else? Like, would you be doing what you want to do? And one of the key things is, like, I've said to him that I don't really want to hike up a mountain again. Not until I've at least learned to pace myself better and have an actual grasp on how to handle my chronic fatigue in a way that can get me up a mountain and back and not have an extensively long and hard week from just hiking a mountain and with fatigue. I don't want to be at that stage again. If they wanted to, they would. And that's a big saying for relationships, of like girls being like, oh yeah, no, if this guy wanted to, he definitely would. Like, if he wants to buy you flowers, he would. But it also works in this context as well. If he actually wanted to go hiking, he would go hiking. But if they care about you enough, sometimes they do just say, let's just do it another day when you're feeling better. Or like, let's just do this another day when you're feeling better. Like, it doesn't actually matter that much. And it's nothing to do with you. And that's their decision. And you just need to allow that. You need to allow the support. But that is something that I'm learning as well with time. Isn't that right, Owen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's taken me some time. When I actually did get my diagnosis, I got it over summer. I actually did apply for the DSA, Disabled Students Allowance, and with that, I've managed to get some technical equipment, such as a printer, headset, a mic, and loads of apps for my laptop to help me study and to help me get the notes that I need with like audio recording and stuff like this, like for my... just to like help me get my notes down effectively, instead of me having to like write it all out and like keep on track. I can go back, I can play at a slow pace and like stay concentrated. And I'm not gonna lie, DSA have actually done a great job at probably helping me. Like, I mean, it's not complete yet, but I'm having my next appointment with them sometime in December, and then again in sometime later, a little bit later December. But they've done an amazing job, and if you feel like you are somebody with a chronic illness that literally cannot go to uni because you are putting that limitation on yourself, if you feel like you are limiting yourself because of this, just go to uni, man. DSA completely understands. Your lecturers will completely understand. There is, I'm pretty sure, like a disabled wellbeing thing on a campus normally. I mean, ours do. I haven't actually had a proper conversation with them, but they do know of my disability. And you get like your doctor's note and stuff, and everything gets sorted for you. You can get disabled student accommodation where your bedroom is bigger, more room for you to actually just move about. Like, that's for first year accommodation. Obviously, I'm living in a house this year and I didn't get that experience, but I know that there is that because they do have accessible areas for disabled people. That's like mandatory, so they do have that. And realistically, nothing should stop you from living your life to the fullest, even a disability that might feel really, really limiting at times. And do not feel scared, because there's so many people that have a chronic illness or are disabled in any way that they can't do all the things that everybody else can. And having a community that understands is really helpful. And while I haven't got that community myself, this is why I'm making this YouTube video, to hopefully find some people that actually understand me and my illness a little bit better, so that we can all make a little community on here. And I'm gonna try and incorporate my CFS into some of my future videos, where it's like, if I go traveling and I make a travel vlog, I might put like my energy levels at the top, and kind of maybe like rate my, I guess, like any type of symptom of CFS, and just be like, well, today I was dealing with this, but I still did this. And I feel like CFS, or just any chronic illness in general, should not be looked down on. It should be acknowledged, and it should go noticed, but it doesn't have to be like a thing where it's got stigma attached to it or anything, because I can still do me, you can still do you, and effectively that's that. I'm not sure if I will do this. I might do this, so future Becca decide, but I might be showing you a quick clip of a video I intended to put on, I intended for my course at uni, my theatre acting course, but it's just a whole little edit of me talking about my CFS and kind of explaining to my fellow students and peers that they have somebody in their class that does have chronic fatigue syndrome, and I might need them to be a little bit nicer and understanding when I can't make it to lectures. So yeah, I might incorporate that video here. Hey guys, so I guess this is a video for my fellow drama students to watch. I guess this is kind of the best way to tell you that I have a thing called chronic fatigue syndrome, which is classed as a disability under the Equality Act of 2010. It really limits my everyday life and like what I can and cannot do. There's some days where I literally just need to lay in bed because I can't get up, and there's some days where if I want to go downstairs to make food, I'm walking down the stairs and my knees literally feel like they're about to collapse from underneath me, like they literally cannot hold my own weight. So I have my bad days, but of course I have so many good ones as well. So obviously with my chronic fatigue, I have to remind myself of all the positive memories, like the aesthetic moments that I capture when traveling, so it's something to look back on and keep me positive. I want to capture the chaotic jumping on trampolines, skipping. I want to capture all of the positive moments, even when it's raining, even when it's windy and I'm being attacked by wind. As long as I'm with my favourite people, that's all that matters. But besides capturing all of my positive memories and making sure I have something to look back on, I also want to prove to myself that I can do things. And there I was climbing Snowdon at the top, where it was windy and I was scared, but I still did it. I may not have looked like the most amazing hiker out there, but I made it to the top of the mountain. I've proved to myself time and time again that I can do things. It just needs to be on a good day. While I love being a content creator and showing all the places that I go to on holidays and what I get up to in my life, I feel like I don't truly capture my struggles. I only capture my good bits. And I feel like I think I need to be a little bit more open and actually let people know that this is something that I do struggle with. But it doesn't define me. It will never, ever, ever define me. But I guess what my final point is while I am classified as disabled, I will never let that stop me from becoming who I want to be and growing up to do what I love. While it's something that I really considered last school year, I really considered dropping out, leaving, maybe I'm not cut out for this uni stuff. And then I realised that after reading many stories about chronic fatigue, I realised that actually no, it's not a reason for me to stop, it's actually a reason for me to develop and become who I want to be. This is just a rock in the road that I'm gonna get over, and I'm gonna be who I want to be at the end of the day. It doesn't matter that I am disabled. It does not define who I am, and it does not define what I can and cannot do. I think this concludes our video. So I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you ever so much for watching, and definitely stay tuned for the next video. I'm sorry it's been like a 2-week wait since the last one, 3 weeks maybe. It's been a while since I've posted and I feel really bad about it. Obviously there's been a lot going on in my life right now, and I definitely intended to post last weekend, but I couldn't get around to filming this video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I do hope you stay tuned, and I do hope you continue to come back and watch some more content, and hopefully I'll get some more CFS videos out, because realistically it's part of my life that I think should be shared, because I can't just keep on holding it in forever. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought about this video, and if you have a chronic illness yourself, and if this video helped you in any way, and hit the notification bell. Stay tuned for any of my future uploads, but most of all, I really hope you like this video, and I love you all so much. Bye bye.